Hello, and welcome to the video that is for new administrators regarding your setup. First thing when you log in, you will see your welcome screen. This is going to show you any private contacts, upcoming screenings, or birthdays that are scheduled. But we're primarily going to focus here in the Setup tab. So the first thing you want to do is click that, and we're just going to go down this list of menu options over here on the left. The first is the profile. This is where your program name is, your administrator, and you as the main administrator should be listed here. If your program moves and you have a change of address, change of phone, fax, or email, this is all where that information will need to be changed. If you are leaving your program and somebody new is coming in, this is also where you can make that change. So you would simply just highlight, put in the new person's name, give them a new username, and click and a new email, and then click Update Profile. So this is also where you change your current year start date. This date will default on any reports that you run the beginning of your date range, so it makes it a little bit easier when you are trying to run reports if you just have that default to the beginning of your start date. And again, if you're wanting to change your username, you can do that here as well. Next tab we're going to go down to, or next link, is going to be the additional administrator link. And this is where you would add any additional administrators. We have a full access administrator, which does count as a billable user. They do have full access to all families, children, home visitors, calendar, and reports. They will see everybody, and they are able to make changes. So if they get in and need to make some changes to a PVR or a screening, something like that, they can do that. The second type of additional administrator we have is called a read-only administrator. And this is someone that can get in. Again, they can see all children, families, home visitors. They can see the calendar. They can see all reports. They just cannot make any changes. So if they wanted to change something on the PVR, they would not be able to do that. A read-only administrator does not count as a billable user, so it's a great option if you're wanting to add some supervisors but not increase your user count. The next link is going to be the preferences link. Please make sure you look over this very, very carefully, and anything that you may track that you want to collect data on, you will want to make sure that it says yes. If there is something you do not track and you don't need your home visitors to be filling out that information, then you can leave that as a no. Some of this information, just to kind of quickly go over it, is this education tracking. If you are a PAT program that serves kindergarten age children, you will want to make sure that this says yes, and that any children that you are seeing in kindergarten are marked as kindergarten. There will be some separation on the APR about children in kindergarten and getting those numbers separately from children birth to 5 or birth to beginning kindergarten. So make sure that's turned on. If you are a Missouri program and you have your MOSIS numbers, you will want to make sure that the state ID is turned on. This is where your MOSIS number will go. And if you need help with importing or exporting MOSIS numbers, please give us a call and we can assist you with that. So this first box is all child fields to display. Moving down, we have guardian fields to display. So again, just kind of read over. And then we also have additional demographics to display. So these are not national, PAT characteristics, but there's some that you may want to see and track, TANF information, or if they're first-time parents. So if you check yes for that, they're not going to be counted as a high-need characteristic for National Center, but it's something that you can track on your own. And then anytime you make changes to the screen, make sure that you click Save Preferences down below. Next screen we're going to move to is the exit reasons. So this will be any reason a family may leave your program, you will want to go ahead and list here so that when you're exiting families that you have all the reasons that you need. You can modify, so we have, moved and moved away. So, we may want to modify one to say, okay, we want it to say moved away. We're going to say moved away, and we're going to enter, and we've already got that reason, so we can't do that. It'll tell you. So let's go back to our exit reasons. And, you can modify these however it's needed. And then over here, if you have a delete option, this means that there are no families that are marked with this moved away option. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of it because we don't need two different moves. And then over here, you also have a show. So whether or not you want that to show. So you may not be able to delete it. So program completed. We may not necessarily want to have our home visitors check that. So I'm going to check to unshow because up here we also have completed services required by the model. So we don't need two program completes. So different things like that, you can kind of just see what works for you and how it works best. The next one down is going to be our screening types. So screenings are what will show up under the child developmental screening. So most programs are going to be doing the ASQ and the ASQSE. Those will automatically show up as well as the OAE. But we know there's a lot of programs out there that still maybe are doing the Dial or, the Denver, different things like that. So you can go ahead and get them entered. And then again, you have your modify, your delete, and your show option. Consolidate would only be if you had ASQ here and you wanted to consolidate with one of these national types. You can't consolidate a Dial 4 with a point, something like that. So it would only be consolidating one of these to a national type. And again, you would just enter your screening type here, click enter, and then make sure that it's checked to show. So it'll show in that drop-down list. Ethnic categories, there's nothing you can do to set this up. This is by the federal definitions of ethnicity. And so there's no changes that can be made. It is what it is, and this will be how your drop-down looks when you're entering a family. Site codes. Site codes can be used to when you have different funding sources or different programs that are using one visit tracker, but when you're running a report, you may only want to see the Grant A families because I need to do a report and they need to know how many families we served and how many home visits we did. So we're going to use this site code to separate out our families and the data that they're getting. MCV will automatically be a site code type for all programs. There's no way to take that off at this time, so you will see that. And then anything else that you show, again, will show up on your reports in your family list. And those site codes are associated with the Guardian. So you'll see that when you enter a Guardian where you can enter a site code. If you don't need this, not a big deal. You would just leave that blank. Moving down to PVR templates. This would be where you could do some customization a little bit on the PVR. If you have visits that you typically do, a lot of programs will kind of do an enrollment visit. So if you enter the enrollment visit, then you're going to have the same handouts, the same activities, the same materials that will pull up when you're in a PVR. This gets used sometimes, but not a lot. So use your discretion on whether or not you need this template. User fields are fields that you can add if there's something that your program tracks that is not in Visit Tracker anywhere. So you can see that we've got a couple here. So we've got 4 guardian fields and 4 child fields. And the guardian fields will show up on the demographic page, and the child fields will show up under the child main data page. And you can just put in whether or not, you want them to put yes or no. We can put in dates. You can put in a lot of different things, and we'll show you a little bit later how that will look. Referral sources. This would be any referrals that come to you. So where are your guardians coming from? Who is referring guardians to your program? And again, some programs track this information, others don't. So this is a field you can turn on or off in your preferences, but if you have it turned on, you do want to make sure that this list is current. So you can go ahead and add or take away, any of those referral sources that you want to show. Down here, then we have a mass exit. So at, age 5, if all of the children in your program will be exiting, so say it's the end of a school year and you have a bunch of children that are going to be starting kindergarten the next year, you can do a mass exit where the visit tracker will automatically exit all of those children that have this date of birth and before. So you would put in the exit date, and then the following reason is typically that they've aged out or, exited due to over the age of 4 or 5, depending on how your program runs. It will show you the children first, and then you can go ahead and just click to do that mass exit. The last thing down here is a fairly new field. This is data sharing. If your state leader participates in getting some custom reports from Visit Tracker, your state leader may request data sharing permissions from you. So you would just turn that on or off, grant permission or not, and then go from there. So if you ever have questions about any of these setup options, you can always call or email us, and we'd be happy to walk you through. Thank you for watching the video.